Hello and welcome to Whoops, I thought I had this scheduled, and hopefully this is going out to YouTube. And yeah, it's been one of those mornings. What can I say? Hopefully you've been having a great weekend, enjoying some nice weather. Life here has been, well, life. And if you know, you know, thankfully things are going well. And fingers crossed, continue to follow along that way. This week, we're continuing on with week 9 of The Artist's Way. Yes, I do need to figure out the webcam so that it's not cutting off the top of my head. And I'm just going to have to figure out how I can get that set up without having to sit tons away from the screen. Anywho, if you can join me, thank you so much. I know it's difficult between life and work and so many other things, time zones, all the rest of it. And yeah, I'm seeing I've got portrait and landscape at the same time. Hopefully, whatever you're viewing me on, it's not looking too bizarre. And as always, thanks for Team Rewatch. Always much appreciated. Hey, Kat. And well, it isn't I didn't let you pre-spam. It's silly me. Didn't have it scheduled ahead of time, so whoopsie doodle. And yeah, I also realized during the last time, because I'm still figuring everything out with Restream, my comments weren't coming up as me. So that's kind of funny. And I'm just typing a hello and welcome to see how that. Oh, there we go. Look, now I'm actually commenting as Cobalt Dragon, which would be me, Elaine. So many different learning things. So, the one glitch that I did notice last week is for some reason, every now and again, I have to click off the little chat thing to show comments because sometimes they'd come in a swoop when I switched to something else. The nice thing is there's already music on here, and that's handy because these are also sprints, whether you're crafting, reading, doing other things. Um, and yeah, I still need to figure out the themes because there's a whole bunch of stuff on the left hand side of my screen. You can set up your intro um, background. You can have your background while you're streaming, which reminds me I'll have to set up the banner as well when we get there. First, I'll go through week 9 of The Artist's Way. Read that yesterday because I'm doing my readings on the Sunday. See, the hair's a bit wild, but hey, it's early Monday morning. And I've said I'm not a super early morning person. Still trying to get lighting, everything figured out. And hey, lurking is in some cases not a bad thing, and I do appreciate it, Kat, because I do know you've got other things on the go as well. And yeah, so today's plan is to continue going until noon. It's currently 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and I'll go through Artist's Way number 9. It's much shorter, I think, than some of the other weeks that we've been through. fewer exercises, and I'll get to that as I talk through that chapter. Do a sprint, like I say, whether you're crafting, reading, just relaxing, catching up on BookTube, which, yes, I'm still behind, but getting to a few videos every now and again. Bob will be coming in a while. He's well enough to be out and about on a few errands just to get out, get a change of scenery. But thankfully, he's doing well. He's been resting, relaxing. Nurse Tiki's been on the job, so that's good. She's also resting and relaxing from, following daddy everywhere and making sure it's all good. But yes, fingers crossed, we've been through the big challenging part of everything, and now it's onward and upward. And our weather here is still a bit bizarre. It's much cooler in the mornings. It's warming up a little bit. I have to check and see what they've got, because last week when I checked, there was no forecast in the rain for a while. And then it rained Friday. It's been cool ever since, which, just for the record, is what used to happen after we had rain and the temperatures would cool down. It was supposed to, and we still, based on this, we've still got temperatures expected up in the 30s on Wednesday, Thursday, 26 on Friday, rain and some storms potentially Wednesday, Friday. So we'll see whether I can get out and get some yard work done. And yeah, that's kind of my week. I've been catching up on some reading, and I see the sun's gonna, again, this is gonna be a whole new learning curve because I rearranged the dragon cave and the sun's currently coming in. So I'm just gonna see if closing this one curtain. Ooh, now it's like nighttime, but there we go. That should keep some of the glare off because I have a red curtain. I don't know, maybe this is the Mars edition live stream. Monday mornings. Monday mornings, Monday mornings. Now, if this is your first time popping in or checking this out, we're on to week 9, The Artist's Way, a program created by Julia Cameron. She initially started this in classrooms for blocked artists, writers, actors, sculptors, painters, etc. She put it together into a book format I believe it was 12 years later. This is the 10th anniversary edition. I picked this copy up at my local thrift store, but I also have a hardcover copy that includes The Artist's Way, Finding Water, and Walking in the World, 2 of the other programs that she developed. I haven't worked through Finding Water or Walking in This World yet. I may, after I finish this go through of The Artist's Way. This is my 3rd time through the program, but I may go on to do the other 2 programs, and not sure if I'll do those as live streams. I may just switch this to reading, crafting, project sprints versus doing a book summary and then carrying on. But so in week 9, this is about recovering a sense of compassion. On the side, and this is page 151, Julia says, "This week finds us facing the internal blocks to creativity. Now, we talked about some of those last week when we were talking about strength and some of the things that get in the way of us recognizing our own abilities and being able to move forward. This week, we continue on, of course, looking at ourselves. We'll undertake healing the shame of past failures. So sometimes a block may be we've tried something, it didn't go that well. Hey, Van, great to see you. And, you know, I also mentioned in the past with the Artist Way, this definitely relates to content creators on social platforms, whether that's YouTube, Twitch, any of the others, because you're putting yourself out there, your opinions, whether it's in a post using words or whether it's in a video. And sometimes it can, you're not called out. I just happened to look up and see your comments and saying hello. But, it can be a challenge, especially as a content creator. And I mentioned this last week when you've put a lot of time and effort into a video, you're proud of it, you really like, the way it came out, it goes up, and then, it maybe gets 20 views if you're lucky. But on the other hand, when you consider the 20 million videos that go up every single day just on YouTube, the fact that it gets any views are, and I'll get to that comment, Ben, the fact that it gets any views is something to celebrate and give yourself a pat on the back. Now, Ven saying called out by the content of today's video. And no, and I mean, you and I have talked about this of the frustration of, putting time and effort into something, putting up a video, and then suddenly it sits there. And I mean, that happens to a number of content creators, not just us. And I know people have made videos about that. I'm sure there are lots of conversations off social platforms about that. And I've really noticed lately, and I did put in my community post yesterday, I'm just not recording long form content at the moment. And I've noticed a number of channels that I have followed haven't had anything in 5 to 8 months. There's a few I need to catch up on who have recently come back and made content. And yeah, I think right now people are just really trying to do the best they can. I mean, there are things like here, big life events and, you know, stressors, etc. And then there's all the stuff if you're one of the people who follow the news, whether it's, in papers or on social media or the combination of both. Although hand newspapers are, I'm not even sure where you would find one of those anymore. I was thinking of this the other day when you used to go out shopping, there was the whole section of the newspapers and everything else. And now most people get that online. And, it used to be free. Then, of course, they figured out, hey, if we charge people to read the articles, so you're still having to pay a fee to read the news. What worries me is there are news channels out there that are just total crap, and people don't even know they're watching AI. Like, it's creepy. And oh, that's good to know. So Ven, who is in the UK, still sells newspapers and magazines. Awesome. Now I do know here, trying to think, and it's been a while since I've been out and about. So I know when we go to Shoppers, they have a section, yeah, they have a big section actually of books and magazines, but I can't actually think of seeing a physical newspaper copy there. Doesn't mean it isn't there, it just means I didn't make note of it there. Because I mean, we used to have the London Free Press, and to give you an idea of how that's gone, that building was torn down several years ago, and it's just more and more online. I think some of the contributors aren't even in London. They're just writing their stories from wherever. And yeah, it's a bit bizarre, actually. And again, you think of the ripple effects of things, because it isn't just a matter of physical newspapers gone, which here the Boy Scouts and Girl Guides used to collect for recycling and things like that. But that's all those jobs that no longer exist. I mean, they still have people writing articles, yes, but as far as the people who actually did the typesetting, the printing, the distributing out to the stores, all of those jobs are gone. I mean, there's always a ripple effect to different things. Just gonna read Ven's comment here. Saw an American district manager of a gas station, TikTok, doing a visit. Mentioned they still do physicals, even though they're not bought up as much anymore. Okay, so good to know. So there is, and that's the other thing, right? So it's still available in some places, but, and again, ripple effect, because a number of people are using technology to get that information, versus like years ago when we used to buy a paper and go through for classifieds, latest news story, you had local, worldwide, all of that. And I think part of it is now, because there's so many options on so many different platforms, that, yeah, people just don't tend to read the news, you know, the old, and again, this definitely dates different shows and movies when you see someone at a table flipping a newspaper. And I'm sure there are some people watching that going, what are they doing? Because it's not a common sight in homes anymore. Cat, physical's hard. You have to be able to read it. It's extremely questionable lately. And that's the other part, right? For some people, and I noticed even with the curtain closed, I'm going to be shiny on one side. So now it's not the Mars edition, now it's the pale edition. This is going to be a whole new adventure figuring this lighting out. But I mean, that's the other, is for some people, tech is the easier way to get that information, because you can either listen to a video, or there's a variety of technology now that will read articles. And it really does boggle my brain, because a decade ago, wow, yeah, it's a decade, maybe 11 years now. See, time, math. Either way, it's been over 10 years since I worked with students and technology programs like Kurzweil and Dragon Speak, which would, Kurzweil would read text for them. They could answer on the forms in the computer program versus having to try and write out the answers by hand. Dragon Speak was literally dictating your answers, which again was handy, because for a number of students, they could tell you the answers, but it was a bigger challenge to try and physically write and put that into words for them. And I remember the resistance that students had to using it, and they would see it as a bad thing. And yet now, especially on BookTube, when I'm hearing people with their immersive reading experiences of listening to the story and having the physical copy in front of them, I'm like, this is what students were complaining about years ago. And yet here they were ahead of the times and not even realizing it. Okay, Ven, thanks for letting me know. So yeah, there's just so many different ripple effects. And I got off on that sideline by talking about, healing our past failures or our feelings about it. Because again, I mean, when we do something, it isn't going to be perfect the first time or the second or third time. It's a matter of practice and continuing to try and develop our skills, whether that's content creators, artists, and being, a novelist, a sculptor, a painter, whatever. The other thing about this week, we'll learn tools to dismantle emotional blocks and support renewed risk. And there's the other part to it of once you've recognized it, you've worked through the feelings, you've labeled them correctly, then it's time to move forward and move on with whatever skill it is you're trying to develop. The first thing she talks about is fear, and this has come up in some of the other weeks as well, because fear can definitely stop us in our tracks, whether that's fear of trying something new. So, for instance, this whole live stream process, that can be really scary, both for myself when I was first deciding to give it a try and for other people because you're putting yourself up there. You have comments down the side. You never know who's going to show up to a live stream. You can get all bogged down in what am I going to say? Is it coming across the way I want it to? There's so many things. Same with creating a video, is anyone going to watch this? Is this of interest? Is this good enough? There's all those questions that kind of get you stopped even before you've started. So you're having to move through that. Now she says, and this is still on page 151, one of the most important tasks in artistic recovery is learning to call things by the right names. And I'm stressing that because there are so many different things that just words. People get caught up in semantics. They want it this way or that way. And the meaning of words change. So you really need to pay attention to, and I mean, this comes up when people are reading classic books versus newly published works. The terminology changes. So, and I've mentioned this in the past. When I was growing up, the word gay meant happy, cheerful, lighthearted, and that's the way it appeared in written works. Later, the word came to relate to someone's sexual orientation. And so when you're reading works, you need to be mindful of when was it published and what is it referring to, an emotion and a mood or a life choice. And that's where it gets challenging with all of the language changing, and you need to keep up with the terminology and the meaning, more specifically, the meanings when you're talking about something. So, using the right names is important. So, when you're trying to figure out your feelings about something, you need to be honest with yourself and using the correct word. Is it fear? Is it anxiety? Is it frustration? And once you have the correct term in what you're feeling, then how do you move forward past that? So you're not, ignoring the term or the feeling more specifically. You're acknowledging it, recognizing it, and then finding ways to move through that. She also stresses, and this is, I think, very important as well, blocked artists are not lazy, they are blocked. So if you're not able to make content right now, if you're not writing something right now, if you're not, doing other projects, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're lazy. It means there are other things right now going on, whether that's depression, anxiety, fear, whatever's getting in the way of you being able to move forward and, you know, carry on with projects and get things done. And that's a very important thing to remember because people can get so caught up in different things and they end up not being compassionate with themselves and not being gentle with themselves. And that just tends to make things so much worse. That also ties in with concepts of burnout, of, it, you just, you just don't feel it as much for the job or the project activity anymore. And there's a lot of work that goes into healing that. Last week, when Margaret was here, we were talking about Burning Bright by Kelsey Patel. Excellent work for moving through burnout. She has some great suggestions, activities. There's a lot of great authors out there. There's also compassion fatigue that individuals, particularly in social services, end up needing to be mindful of in education and I'm sure in other fields as well, where, and I'm thinking right now, probably with everything on social media, we'll come up to a comment Julia makes about doom scrolling in a bit, but it's just that you're overwhelmed. There's just too much, and you need to sometimes step away and narrow the field a bit so that you can rejuvenate, re energize, heal, and then get back to it. And when you get back to it, being mindful of only taking on so much. You can't do it all. You can't do it yourself. You need to have those social supports in place. You need to have good self care in place and being mindful of what you need, all of that type of stuff. So make sure that you have options in your toolbox, and more importantly, that you're making use of those tools. And yes, I'm saying that for myself because there are a number of different things I have around. Well, I'll grab it in a minute because, again, it's great to have all the tools, but you actually need to work them and use them, much like I'm now going through the artist's way, getting on with not just the readings, but doing the activities and then spin off projects from that, like redoing my bulletin board. That's something I need to do as well. Right now, I'm just caught in some of the clutter. And Travis, if you've seen my video with my cute little turtle, Travis and I need to do some serious decluttering and organizing because there are a number of things I have piled all over the place. And that's part of this whole boondoggle busy brain. And it's just getting harder to find the flow to get things organized and functional. I also, because she mentions that issue with blocked artists not being lazy, I also put in there that also relates to depression. I mean, too often people mistake depression for being lazy. And depression, it isn't sad, it's a lack of energy, it's energy sucking. It isn't necessarily that something has happened, there's other things going on in the body that make us feel that way. And it's really important to recognize what that is. And if you need to, go see a counselor, talk to your doctor, make sure you have strategies in place. Because again, it isn't laziness, it's other things getting in the way of you being able to move forward. So you can't just wish it away. And that's where using the correct terms comes in as well. Identifying clearly depression, not laziness. So, another important point there. She goes on to talk about blocked artists don't think about the baby steps. There are little things you have to do before you can start moving forward. Blocked artists, block creators get into that big, I need 1,000 subs, or I need hundreds of views on a video, or whatever it is. You know, she talks about the novel needs to be completed, the painting needs to be finished. Instead of thinking of those small steps, blocked artists tend to think of the finished project, but they forget that to get to that finished project, you need to do those steps and get there one bit at a time. I'm just looking because Tiki has decided to come and hang out, but she's up on her little table where she can enjoy the sun. So, again, looking at those baby steps, making plans, doing one thing every day towards a project, whether that's planning a video, as in what do you want to talk about, whether that's finishing the book you want to talk about, whether that's journaling your ideas, whether that's using words or pictures, whatever work best for you. It also talks about, and this is page 152, fear is the true name for what ails the blocked artist. So, standing in our way. To go squarely against your parents' values means you'd better know what you're doing. And that example she talked about, if our parents or guardians weren't supportive when we were younger, and thinking through different artistic careers, such as a novelist or a painter, etc. Now, for me, I put in the margin here, because I grew up on a farm out in the country, was my long-term plan. I would have been, well, I think, quite happy doing that. But the requirement was I had to be married, because my dad decided I needed a man to run a farm. I decided not happening. And so I went to college and I became a counselor. And let's just say that didn't go over well initially when I went to school. But, I decided I was doing my own thing. I wasn't going to be ending up having someone else run a farm. So I just walked away from the farm. And here we are. Now, in the long run, yes, it was the better choice. Um, but when you're younger and you're reliant on others for the roof over your head, food on the table, etc., yeah, it can be a challenge to, not just do as you're told per se, or follow the expectations of family, etc. And that in itself can be scary because, of course, when I first finished school, there's that big, you've got to find a job, and all those resumes go out. And anyone who's done a job search knows you get a lot of "Hey, thanks for applying." Well, back then, you'd at least get a reply if you were lucky. Now it's even less often that you get a response from all the places you apply to, but there are a lot of no thank yous before you get to a yes. Then you go through the interview process, but even that doesn't always mean a job at the end of all of that. So it's a huge undertaking. The next topic that Julia talks about is, of course, enthusiasm, because in order to move forward and get into whatever it is we're wanting to create, work on, do, we need to be excited about it. And if you're suffering from things like burnout or depression, that's easier said than done. So you have to, again, work through and acknowledge honestly what it is that you're going through. And she talks about over an extended period of time, being an artist requires enthusiasm more than discipline. Now, there she had been talking about, and this has come up when I've had authors on my live stream. Everyone has their own way of doing things. Some feel it's important to write every day, others write in spurts. And that's the key to, again, figuring out what works best for you. Same with content creators. Some people will have videos scheduled weeks or even months in advance because they get on a roll, they get things recorded, and off they go, and they can schedule them. For other content creators, it's better to do it in the moment and pop it up, and they're able to keep up with that consistent schedule. So, again, this comes to tweaking and finding what works best for you. She also talks about the importance of looking at whatever we're creating as play, not work. And I always made the distinction of work is what you do to keep a roof over your head and food on the table. Job is something you do because you love doing it and you would do it even without a paycheck. So a lot of YouTubers have jobs by my definition, as in they do it because they love doing it. It's about the social interaction, it's about sharing thoughts, making connections, meeting new people, all those spin-off effects of being on this platform. And I'm sure that could relate to other platforms. I'm just not on them, so I can't comment what that experience is like. But she talks about the importance of play. Look at it as something fun. In other words, you're looking forward to doing it. If you're looking at it like drudgery or a pain, or you just don't want to do it, that's going to come through in the finished product. And that's not particularly what you want to share. So if it's something fun, it's enjoyable, there are other spin-offs, that's going to get you more interested in doing it, continuing on, and that enthusiasm is going to shine through in whatever it is that you're producing. Now, Julia says most little kids would be bored silly in a stark, barren room. Our artist child is no exception. So she's talking about what do you have in the area where you're creating. So for me, I've got my boxes with the sayings on them, my cute little haunted house, my other little plaque that I picked up at Michael's years ago for Halloween. Putting things around the area where you're either producing your videos, your sculptures, writing your books, Make it fun and interesting for you, things that will inspire and motivate you. She goes on to talk about what she calls creative U turns. So people are moving ahead, things are going well, but then instead of continuing with that momentum and that flow, they backstep. So maybe there's an offer for an acting job. Maybe there's an offer or something in terms of YouTube or other social platforms. But instead of taking that chance and moving forward with it, the blocked artist will step back because there's that fear of success, or their head gets all filled with the what ifs. Hey, Ven, welcome back. And recognizing that there are all kinds of careers where those creative U turns come up, not just for artists, and recognizing when you're using that to not move forward. So, again, this chapter is about really being honest with yourself. And again, this isn't about having to share any of this with someone else. It's about doing an honest assessment of your life, where you're at right now, and finding the steps and the processes to heal that and move forward. If there are people that you can talk to about it, and be very careful who those people are. In other words, don't be chatting with the naysayers or the energy vampires about this type of stuff. This is stuff that you talk about with the people you know you can trust, who are supportive, who are going to tell you what you need to hear, not necessarily what you want to hear. And those are two different things, but they're also coming from a place of helping you move forward and recognizing what's going on and even coming up with the steps to improve that. So, if you're going to talk to other people about this, just be really mindful of who those people are. Now, on page 156, she's talking about a successful creative career is always built on successful creative failures. The trick is to survive them. And I never miss a chance to talk about The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. Again, this is that Santiago's journey of everything did not flow smooth for Santiago. There were a lot of pauses, some for months, some for years, but they were important because from those events and situations, he learned other things. Yes, Tiki's going to say hi to Dad and make sure he picked up what he was supposed to doing the errands. But again, so this comes back to that journey of sometimes to us it may seem like a failure or it may seem like we're on the wrong path until we take a look at what did you gain from it? Who did you meet? What were the skills that you picked up? Oh, that's funny. So Ven is just saying, a bloody book appeared on something the other day. It's haunting me. And then I just ended up mentioning it again. It really is a great book. I mean, having read now, I think it might be 10. I'll have to count up all the Paulo Coelho books I've read. I know there's certainly a few. The Alchemist is definitely my favorite. A few of the others I enjoyed, but the Valkyries just did me in. And I'll do a video about that in a little while. But yeah, I think I've read all the good parable stories that he has. But it is true. I mean, with Santiago, he followed his dream. There were things that happened, not all of them good, but in his case, he kept moving forward versus avoiding doing things or taking a risk or taking a chance. He kept going, following that dream. And I mentioned here YouTube videos. So, some may do well, some not so much. There's Bob. And you have to keep going forward and giving them a try. So, just remembering to move forwards with things. Now, she talks about a director named Blake Edwards and a video that they, or sorry, a movie that they made didn't go well. They took 7 years away, and this person actually got fired from their own project. And so they disappeared for a while, and then they finally decided, you know what, it's time to get back on track, and their career moved on from there. But obviously, something like that is definitely going to kick your self-worth and all of that. And you have to give yourself time to heal and repair. Oh, cat. Oh, Ven saying, looks like you're up to something, hun. He was putting stuff away in the closet. He went out and did some errands and shopping. But so the importance there with Blake Edwards is, being able to move forward and recognizing those hurt feelings, working through them, and then coming back. On page 158, she goes on to talk about blasting through blocks. So recognizing what that block is, what's holding you back, finding those tools and using them. So whether that's journaling, whether that's taking some classes, maybe to develop some skills, connecting with other folks who can help you with developing those skills, or even just your own self-confidence and being able to move forward. Now, she talks here, and this is page 158. In order to work freely on a project, an artist must be at least functionally free of resentment and restraint. We mean that any buried barriers must be aired before the work can proceed. So, again, being honest with ourselves and working through all of that. So, if you're nervous or fearful or angry or whatever the emotion is, label it accurately and move through it. Whether, again, that's journaling, talking to somebody, but recognizing it and moving forward. She then has a number of questions to ask yourself, and she gives various examples. And again, this is about an honest assessment. So you're not trying to make things sound better than they are. This is about taking a look at what's going on right now, standing in the way of you moving forward. And just again, if you're going to do this type of thing with somebody else, then make sure it's somebody who is going to be supportive and nurturing and helpful, not a naysayer or an energy vampire. Now, she does say at the end of that section, a word of warning. This is a very powerful exercise. It can do fatal damage to a creative block. And again, this isn't about rushing through the answers. It's about taking your time and being really honest with yourself and moving through that experience. Then on page 160, she has the tasks. This week, there are only 4 of them. In the previous weeks, there had usually been 10. These all take a bit of extra time. Number one, for people who are doing morning pages, and I've shared I typically don't. I did when I did the program the two previous times, but I do a different type of journaling. But in week 9 is when you actually go through all those morning pages you've been writing as you've gone through this program. And what you're doing is looking for, what have you been complaining about? What keeps coming up? Are you noticing any solutions or steps? And making note of that through your morning pages. And then moving forward with those steps that you may have come up with. Again, morning pages are for you, not to be shared with or discussed with anybody else. These are just in the morning, stream of consciousness, whatever comes out. The second exercise is about visualizing. This connects to a collage exercise from week number 8, and just adding more pictures and concepts to what it is you want to bring and create in your life. Number 3 has to do with setting priorities. And number 4, and again, it's a longer exercise, has to do specifically with the creative U-turns throughout your life. So going through your life and looking at, when did those come up? What were the things that happened? Why did you make those choices? And forgiving yourself, taking a look at what else flowed from that choice at that time. And she calls it an artistic totem. So having something in your area where you create or do your various activities, and it's a visual reminder of, oh yeah, I need to continue to give myself a pat on the back, recognize what I've done and what will keep me motivated. And then, as always, the week finishes with a check-in in terms of, have you been doing your artist morning pages? Did you have your artist date? What did you do? Were there any things that came up this particular week that you need to work on, fine tune, or tweak? And in particular with these U-turns and taking care of yourself. That is week 9 of the Artist's Way. Week 10, we will go into recovering a sense of self-protection. Now, since this week also has to do with compassion, and it is handy, I have these things. It's also handy I have a chair on wheels. So I have the Self-Compassion Journal, The Art of Being Kinder to Yourself. There are 52 prompts, so you could actually do one a week and carry it through over the year. You have the prompt and then lots of space to write. You have an area that you could do some drawing. I've mentioned this before, and I just need to get started. And this would be the perfect week. You've got things you can color. I have lots of cool stickers that would come up in this. And I like it because the pages, there you go. The pages are colored, so each area you're dealing on with different sections. So part 1 is about all of me. Part 2 is called Soft Landings. Part 3 is From Strength to Strength. Part 4 is Time Out. And she starts off with welcome to your journal, going through what is journaling about, how can you do it, when do you start it, all of that type of thing. So I am going to set that on my Artist's Way book, which is right beside me. Now, another way of journaling, and I have yet to start this, but I did find it during. Ooh, I actually bought this one new. Cool. The Intuitive Drawing Journal, a guided journal for processing feelings and emotions. This is by Almedina Roca. There we go. And this is drawing. So you can either sketch, you could use stickers, you could find pictures. There's some activities that look like Zen tangles, which I also have something I need to work on. Again, something that I need to set there, and that's something that I need to get working on. I mean, I do my silly gaming in the morning, which is just match 3 stuff. But yeah, I should get into my Zen tangles and other things. So now we've got the Mars edition going on again. Okay. Now, Ven shares, maybe I'm just not a fan of parables or religious framing. And yes, that could certainly be a part of it. I love parables. I mean, I started with Aesop, which are fables, animals that talk, short stories, and they're very short with a lesson at the end. Parables are, of course, much longer, but they're humans interacting in various settings. But the whole point is, again, about something to learn. That's why I like Celestine Prophecy, and I did like many of the Paulo Coelho books that I've read. Again, they're people going through experiences, but it isn't the literal experience, it's about the lessons that were along the way. Kat saying, you mean your most favorite book ever? And suddenly Akatar comes up. I did mention, yes, Bob was putting stuff away in the closet. Just going off context clues. Like Akatar more than The Alchemist. Okay, that is scary. Ooh, special edition of Aesop. Nice. I have my kids edition, as in I've had it since I was a kid, same as my Grimm fairy tales. It's funny, for all the books that I've unhauled throughout my life, and there have been, well, literally hundreds, those books have never gone anywhere. I still have The Kitten's Voyage, thankfully, because I thought I'd gave it away. I still have Mr. Pine's Purple House, which I read over and over and over again. I have my Grimm's fairy tales, and I have Aesop. So 4 books from my childhood. And Dracula, which would be from my teen years. But other than that, and I used to have a lot of books. And yes, I am sad that I unhauled Michael McDowell years ago, but thankfully now I have them back. Ooh, it's a folio. Late 90s. They have amazing editions, but I need Lotto Max for those for sure. But yeah, so, and oh, I just gotta stretch. So I think we're gonna do a sprint, and I'm gonna put it up for an hour. So whether you're reading or doing some craft work, I'll see if I can find, oh, I need to put a screen there. Now, oh, wait a minute. Where did I find that? Let's see as I play around. Nope, wasn't there. All right. What did I pick here? Nope. Do we have something here? Oh, no. See, I did that from, oh. Oh, well. Okay, didn't want that. Welcome to me trying to figure things out. All right, I don't want anything there. Nope, now I've completely disappeared. Oh, the joys. What about this? Nope. I'll get it figured out. Maybe. Oh, there we go. All right. I'm going to have to play with that sometime when I'm off screen. So, no, I think we're okay there. There we go. Ooh, enjoy your visit and have a good time. And yay, glad you're on vacation. And Kat wants to know who is coming to Ben's house. Okay, I am going to well, let's see. What music have we got? I wish I could remember what the one was last time. Turn this up a bit. No. Let's give this one a try. That one sounds kind of nice. Oh, wow. Well, I hope you enjoy the visit, Ven. And yeah, it'd definitely be nice to catch up after 2 years. Okay, what do you think of the music? Is it okay? And is it loud enough? Graphics might have been where I found that. I have to see, because I know I figured out how to do it last time. Oh, cool. There we go. I just figured out how to do backgrounds. All right, so that'll come in handy when I'm doing some other things. Not quite, but I'm thinking about at the moment. Yeah, because I'm just looking down the side here. They've got some cool backgrounds. I'm just looking at all the options here. Oh, okay. You can even change your camera and stuff. Hmm. Okay, so that's that. But you can't pick them. Yeah, I wonder if as we go, well, that's kind of boring. Okay, and I've still got, okay, volume's good. Thanks for letting me know, Ven. And, all right, captions. Uh, Hey, since it's uber quiet, I think I'm gonna wrap up early and I'm just gonna go through the different books that I'm currently reading. Oh, look at that, pretty stars. All right, we'll have to figure out how to remove that background. So many adventures and things to learn. Anywho, it's a nice day, so I may be able to get out, get some yard work done, get some reading done. Uber quiet here, so I may as well wrap up the stream after I talk through what I'm currently reading. Let me know in the comments down below if you're on Team Rewatch, what you're currently reading. So I'm on Carlos Castaneda, The Eagle's Gift. I'm doing this as a buddy read with Alan from Big Hard Books and Classics, just up to page 76. It's an interesting read. This is my, I think, third Castaneda read. It's been a long time since I've read his other books, and I just read A Separate Reality with Alan 3 months ago, I think. I don't know. Time all blurring together. Now there is actually, I'll talk about this one next. This I found at my local thrift store. The Metaverse of Consciousness, Mapping the Multiple Dimensions of Reality. This is by Shelley Renee Joy. She's also an anthropologist like Carlos Castaneda, which I found very fascinating. She also has a background in, I think it's has something to do with, I don't think it's electrical engineering, but I'll have to double check. In any case, it's been a very interesting read. I'm shocked that this was at the thrift store. I picked it up for $4.50. Whoever first picked this up got it at the Mandela Bookshop. I used to go there quite a bit. May actually pop in and see what the store is like now, because it's been well over 10 plus years since I've been up there, and they always had fascinating reads and books that you wouldn't typically find at Indigo and other locations. But I'm shocked this was in the thrift store. Excellent condition, spine, not cracked, anything like that. But it's from 2025, so this is a very new publication, but I guess whoever picked it up didn't enjoy it, and I think it's interesting that I decided to start at the same time I'm into reading the other work by Castaneda, both anthropologists. A book that I'm planning to start in the next little while. This is the other Paul Doherty that I had picked up, also at my local thrift store, and a bit shocked to find that his works are in the $1 shelves. This is The Mysterious Death of Tutankhamun, Reopening the Case of Egypt's Boy King. Now, I'd read another one of his works, and that was a mystery, quite interesting, and reminded me a lot of Sherlock Holmes with a sidekick, but in ancient Egypt. And I thought this was also going to be another mystery, but it actually seems to be, although it doesn't say in the back that it's a nonfiction, but he's got pictures of the tombs, various other information. So it looks like I have another nonfiction about King Tut. And I also, this is a reread, started The Pagan Christ. This is by Tom Harper. I read it 3 years ago. This ties in with the whole Da Vinci spiral revisiting pagan belief systems and other spiritual paths. It's also interesting because this gentleman is here in Ontario. He was an Anglican priest and professor of Greek and New Testament at the University of Toronto. So that's kind of cool. Someone from my own area, published author, and I did enjoy the read last time. A little more annotating using my little sticky tabs. That's a few of the books that I'm reading. I've again got quite a few on the go. I've managed to knock off a few on my to be finished list, as well as my TBR, which is nice. I've picked up 4 new books. I've mentioned them in my community posts. Looking forward to getting to those. I have the UFO and chemtrails. Really want to get to that one as one of the author's fathers worked at Area 51. I have one on the simulation multiverse. New to me author, but that's why I wanted to start this consciousness of the multiverse book first, and then I'll follow it up with that as I have someone who I can chat with about all this stuff in person, which is always fun and that interactive conversation. I picked up Drood by Dan Simmons. Not sure when I'll be getting to that because I have quite a few chunky monkeys I wanted to get done this year first. And then what was the other one I got? Silly me. Continue to be a mystery because I know I still have to add it to my list, but I got, oh, Physics of Consciousness. Started that one the other day. That one's going to take a while to read just to wrap my head around the different language and terms, and I believe it's also a translated work, so that may be part of the way it's coming across. Anyway, hope wherever you are, you're enjoying your reads, you're having a great day and taking care of yourself. Hey, William, I was just about to wrap up because it's been uber quiet here, and I'm going to be heading out to do some yard work, I think, or maybe chilling out to read. The sparkles were an accident, but it is kind of funny to see it in the background. Anyway, yeah, so I'm going to wrap it up here and get outside while the weather's good. I hope things are going well with you, William. I do have the Urantia book on my to be started soon list. It's another thing I have to do is get that planning and things figured out. So I hate to be popping off when you just came in to say hello. And once I start getting back to doing live streams again on Thursdays, definitely have to start getting folks on again and catching up, finding out about a lot of things. Take care and enjoy the rest of your day.